Hello, I'm Geoff from GC2 Photo Club, and in this video I'm going to show you some of the features and uses of adjustment layers in Adobe Photoshop. To add an adjustment layer to an image that is already open in Photoshop, click on the Adjustment or Fill Layer icon at the bottom of the Layers panel. It's the one in the middle, a circle that is half black and half white, split diagonally. You can also click on the word Layer at the top of your screen and select New Adjustment Layer from the drop-down menu. And you will see that you have the same options. You can also use the Adjustment Layers panel, that's this one over here. If you don't have this panel open, go to the top here to Window and click on Adjustments, but as you can see I've already got this panel open. To use this panel, just click on any of the icons here to make the adjustment that that icon represents. If you hover your cursor over any of the icons, you will see here on the top left hand corner what adjustment that icon represents. For instance here, it will change the exposure. When you click on the adjustments icon at the bottom of the layers panel here, a list of the available adjustments pops up. Most of these options will seem familiar to you as they are the same as the traditional adjustments in Photoshop. The difference with adjustment layers is that they are non-destructive. They do not damage the pixels and can be re-edited as many times as you like. In this case, I have chosen to make an adjustment to the exposure by clicking on Exposure. Make sure that you have the Properties panel visible, as this is where you make your adjustments. In this case, it's hidden below the Layers panel, so I'll collapse the Layers panel. You can also go to the top of your screen to Window and check that the Properties panel is open, or if not, click here. In this case, my Properties panel is already open. To make the adjustment to my exposure, I use the sliders here. This way to increase the exposure, this way to decrease the exposure. In this case, I'm going to take it up about a third of a stop, 0.33. Now that I've finished making my adjustment, I can now collapse the Properties panel. I can then reopen my Layers panel by going Window, Layers. Check that your exposure layer is the active one. If it is, it will be blue. If not, click on it and it will become the active layer and will also turn blue. I can now change the opacity of the adjustment layer in the same way as you would a normal layer by clicking on the little downward facing triangle to the right of the word opacity, that's this one here, and using the slider to make any adjustments. As you can see, it's made my image slightly darker as I was using an exposure adjustment layer. Taking the opacity of that layer down has lessened the effect. In this case, I'm going to take the slider back to 100%, as I would like the full effect of my exposure adjustment layer. Adjustment layers come with a built-in layer mask, which allows you to paint over your layer to hide or show your adjustment selectively. If you use the brush tool to paint black on your mask, that's the default foreground colour, it will hide your adjustment from that area. If you paint with white, it will reveal the adjustment in that area. Shades of grey partially hide or reveal the adjustment, and if you paint over too much of your adjustment with a black loaded brush, switch the foreground colour to white by pressing the X key and paint to bring back in a selected area. This will be much more easily demonstrated if I use a black and white adjustment layer. To do this, I need to click on the icon down here to get my choice of adjustments. In this case, I'm going to click on black and white. As you can see, the Properties panel has now reappeared, and the image has turned black and white. First of all, I need to check that my foreground colour is black. In this case it's not, so I've pressed the X key to return it to the foreground default colour, which is black. I now select the brush tool over here and any area that I now paint over with the black foreground colour will return to its original state, which in this case was colour. If I want to return those areas to black and white, I just flip the foreground colours by pressing the X key. The foreground colour is now white. This will now paint out the colour and return it to black and white. This can be very useful if you make a mistake and want to return part of the image to its original state. That concludes our look at adjustment layers. I suggest you make a few adjustments yourself to practice how they work for you. Hope you found that tutorial useful. Please go to our website GC2photoclub.com for more videos and information. I'm Geoff Cable from GC2 Photo Club. Hope to see you again soon.